Welcome to another episode of This Goose is Cooked, where we review books intended for our future generations. Today's book, Elephant's Story, by Tracey Campbell Pearson, published by Farah Straus Giroux Books for Young Readers. Elephant's Story is a book clearly based on the author's drug-induced hallucinations. Many famous artists and writers have masterpieces that are highly creative that have come from the use of drugs. Alice in Wonderland is just one example. This read is definitely not one of those masterpieces. I'm sure Tracey Campbell Pearson thought it was groundbreaking and exciting during her trip, but it really came off as a time when your friend describes their experience on drugs or a dream they had the other day and they are super excited about it, but it ends up being just an incoherent story to nowhere. The book follows an elephant who ruins a book he finds. He asks for his friend's help to put it back together, but they provide no assistance. Trust me, the story is not as normal as I just made it sound. Well, let's take a dive down the rabbit hole. The story opens on an elephant finding a book that a girl named Gracie lost. Oh, and by the way, you don't see Gracie, so it doesn't seem like she was looking too hard for it. You also don't get any backstory as to how the book would possibly be lost in a place where an elephant could find it. Come to think of it, there is never once any context as to where the story takes place. It's just a poorly drawn elephant on a blank white page. Maybe it's just the inner workings of Tracey Campbell Pearson's mind. But I want out after the first page. Anyway, the elephant begins to sniff the book for whatever reason. But in this horrible delusion, he sniffs so hard, he somehow sniffs the words right off the page and into his trunk. The elephant then sneezes and the letters go flying everywhere. So he tries to put them back in the book, but the letters get all mixed up. And the pictures show the elephant on a blank white page carrying the book with letters floating around it. So the elephant tries to enlist his friends for help. First an alligator, who wants to eat the letters. Then a seal, who wants to juggle them. The monkeys throw them, and the bear just sleeps. Each time he encounters one of his friends, the letters spell out their actions. Of course, none of his so-called friends are any help. Also, when would an elephant have an alligator or a bear as a friend? Never. And how did he see so many animals in such a short period of time? Is the elephant in the circus? We don't know, because there is absolutely no context to where this elephant is. The elephant is sad that he and his friends couldn't figure out how to put the letters back on the pages of the book. So he sniffs them back up into his trunk, even though a few pages ago the letters were clearly irritating and caused him to sneeze. The very next page you see the elephant moping and sitting on the open book, just rubbing bare ass all over the pages. You finally see Gracie, and she is excited to see the elephant's dirty asshole on her book. What does Gracie do? She picks the book up, shoves it right in her face to smell it, and asks the elephant where the words are. She figures out that the words are in the elephant's trunk, and instead of trying to find something that could help dislodge the letters, she decides to tug on the elephant's trunk over and over. The book then states, so you know I'm not making this shit up, I quote, "When that didn't work, she tickled his trunk." The elephant finally sneezes on Gracie, and I quote, "He showered Gracie with letters," and Gracie is ecstatic to be sneezed on. Who the hell has ever been jacked to be sneezed on? I would be pissed. There's more than just letters in that sneeze. So many diseases. So gross. This whole picture looks like a school teacher's drug-induced wet dream. The story ends with Gracie and the elephant eventually getting the words back on the pages, and even adding a few of their own. But they must have had writer's block, because it's only one sentence that starts with "once upon a time." They have a little more work to do, because that's a huge dud. Well, I'm glad to be out of the author's bad trip. The pictures were not even half done and clumsily drawn. There wasn't much of a storyline, and the one that was there made little sense. The book sets up a moral about not relying on friends, but never finishes it, because Gracie comes along to bail the elephant out. The book had little thought put into it, and I didn't have to think long about this book's rating. On a scale of 1 to 5, this book gets a 1. I'm turning my nose up at it and having none of it. This goose is cooked. Join us next time for another in-depth book review.